Welcome back to the MMA Fight Realm. UFC 299 is taking place this weekend, and I'm going to give you guys my picks and predictions. If you're new, thanks for tuning in. It is your boy Chris, and be sure to follow the Instagram at MMA Fight Realm. I post fight announcements, live odds, weigh-ins, updates. Last week, I gave you guys my short notice replacement picks, which was Ludovic Klein and Vinicius Oliveira. They both got the job done by finish last week. So follow the Instagram at MMA Fight Realm to stay updated. And without further ado, we got a stacked card, 14 fights, a lot of close matchups here. And let's see how we do. I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think of these picks. Let's get into it. Leading off the card, we got Maryna Moroz taking on Joanne Wood for the second time, guys. They fought way back, and Maryna Moroz made her debut against Joanne Calderwood. At the time, she was undefeated, Calderwood, and Maryna Moroz walked her down. She was not intimidated, submitted her with an armbar from strike. She put her in an armbar from striking position, guys. She didn't even need the takedown to work her most famous armbar, which she already had a couple under her belt prior to that. And yeah, just first round sub for Maryna Moroz. Now she's taking on a 38, almost 39-year-old Joanne Wood, who is already said that she's looking to retire after this fight. She's already, she's not motivated and less hungry. Maryna Moroz is still looking to prove she's there. She's still looking to stay in the UFC. She's active. She's lost only to what I think right now is very high caliber opponents. Her last loss is to Karine Silva, who is high level, very high level, and would absolutely destroy Joanne Wood. But we got this matchup. It's, I think, very clear Maryna Moroz to win this one by submission. I think Joanne Wood is not going to have much to offer after the first takedown. She might get up, but it's the second, the third, and the fourth that start adding up for Joanne Wood, and she doesn't have much to offer after that. So give me Maryna Moroz to win this one by submission or by decision, guys. Next fight, we got CJ Vergara taking on Assu Almabayev. Fun fight, but I don't like the disadvantage for CJ Vergara in the grappling and wrestling in this fight. I think, against Tatsuro Taira, we saw that he was just consistently getting taken down, and while trying to get up in that second round, he fell into an armbar. Tatsuro Taira, high-level grappler, high-level BJJ. We've seen him in the UFC many times. Assu Almabayev, we can't say the same thing. He's only got one fight in the UFC, but in the regional scene, he fought Tagir Ulanbekov. You guys know Tagir Ulanbekov, cousin of Khabib Nurmagomedov, family of, the Dagestanis. They're hard to take down, hard to wrestle with, and Assu Almabayev grappled with Tagir, took Tagir down in the regional scene fight, and he was holding his own, but Tagir had a huge height and reach advantage in that fight, and it played a big role. Eventually, it took a toll on Assu Almabayev, and he got slammed in that third round. But that's Tagir Ulanbekov, guys. This is not, CJ Vergara is not Tagir Ulanbekov. He won't have that much of a height and reach advantage in this fight. He does not have the grappling advantage like Tagir did in that one. And Assu Almabayev should walk through CJ Vergara early, in my opinion. I think he's going to wrap him up. He's a dog. That's one thing for sure. He's a dog. So he might be hard to submit, but I'm still counting on the top control to be too much for CJ Vergara. I think he will get him out of there. If not, Assu Almabayev should get it done by decision. Next fight, guys, we got Robelis Despaigne taking on Josh Parisian. Wow. I mean, Robelis Despaigne by however he wants, guys. I mean, we're talking about a 6'8", 87-inch reach, juggernaut. All right, this guy was a medalist in Taekwondo. I talked about him in my prospects to cash on in 2024 video. Hope you guys tuned in to that. I've been mentioning this fight now for weeks, so there's really not much to break down here. I mean, Josh Parisian is not UFC caliber. So if Robelis can't get this one done, you might as well toss them both out of the UFC. Because, I mean, if Robelis can't get this one done, I don't know, man. Look at the level of opponents Robelis has fought. Yes, they're not UFC caliber, but just if you watch any tape, you can tell that the people he's facing actually deserve to be at heavyweight. Josh Parisian is taking advantage of the heavyweight weight limit. Okay, I'll be nice. Let's just be nice and say that. Okay, the guy should move down a weight class, but he's not, and he's trying to fight at heavyweight against guys like Robelis Despaigne, who cannot afford to move down a weight class. He's 6'8". Okay, there's no moving down for this guy, so he's gonna get it done. First round, I don't see this lasting longer than a minute. Robelis Despaigne by knockout, guys. Next fight, we got Cutelaba taking on Philipe Lins. Now, out of the crazy fun matchups we have on this card, I look at this fight and you might just glance over it, but this is actually gonna be a tough pick in my opinion, because Cutelaba's fight IQ is extremely questionable, and to count on it, you just can't. You can't count on his IQ. What you can count on is he's a big ball of energy, and he's 30 years old, so he's only learning. He's training at the right gym, Extreme Couture, with Eric Nixick. So he's doing all the right things. He's a strong grappler. 205. This is his weight. This is the right weight class. Whereas Philipe, moving up and down. You know, he came from heavyweight, from PFL heavyweight, was not having success at heavyweight. Got beat by Arlovsky, and then beat again, and then he comes down to light heavyweight and is on a 3-fight win streak. However, it's very far and in between. You know, he hasn't fought in almost a year. We haven't seen Philipe, and now he's 38, a few months away from 39, and he's got 100% takedown defense in the UFC. That's going to get tested against a guy who's 8 years younger than you and is very known for being wild and live in that first round. So I really think Cutelaba is gonna, I can't count on his IQ, but I can count on that ball of energy, and I think that energy is what is going to be enough to get it done against a guy like Philipe Lins, who, like I said, you don't really see him much. And yes, he's on a 3-fight win streak, but Open St. Preux, later half of his career, that was actually one of, I think, his last fight in the UFC. And then 39-year-old Maxime Grishin, he took him to decision. That doesn't look too good. I think Cutelaba finishes Maxime Grishin. So, different level of opponents here that Cutelaba has faced and lost to, whereas Philipe Lins, you never really see him much, probably because he's dealing with injuries in between fights. I'm not sure, but 38 years old, not his time. Cutelaba finally got a win in his last fight after facing, very well-known names in this weight class. So no knock on him, but I'm looking for him to build a bit of a win streak now, coming off that last win against Tanner Boser. And they do share that opponent. One got the job done, one didn't. I'm not doing MMA math, but that's just what it is. Next fight, we got Michel Pereira taking on Michel Oleksiejczuk. Hope I'm saying that right. Oleksiejczuk, okay? I think these two are going to give us a fun first round. And, Pereira always delivers. I mean, this guy, his technique is like a drunken style, but he talks about how he's open about it. This is his style. He learned it. This is not something that he's just doing out there for show. It's literally something he's developed in the gym. He does it all the time. So that's why he's starting to look good. And now he's a middleweight, 15 pounds up. He don't got to cut as much. He don't got to look so drained when he's out there. I think this is what he always should have done. I mean, in his last fight, he looked humongous against Andre Petroski, and he destroyed Andre Petroski in the first round. I think we're likely going to see the same thing. I mean, this guy's riding a 6-fight win streak. He's got so much experience. He's got a few submissions under his belt. Hasn't worked a submission. I'm not sure if he's worked a submission win in the UFC yet, but Michel Oleksiejczuk is very exposed to losing by submission. I mean, 3 out of his 4 losses have came by submission, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pereira pulls that one out of the hat. You know, a lot of people are expecting him to get it done on the feet. He is very live to get it done on the feet. I mean, his first rounds are one of the best to watch, but I will be nervous going into the later rounds. We haven't seen Michel Pereira in the later rounds at 185 yet, but like I said, I think he should have always been here, 15 pounds up. I think this is what's going to suit him right. So I wouldn't be as worried about him going into the later rounds as I was when he was doing that at 170. And I like his chances here against Oleksiejczuk, despite Oleksiejczuk really, you know, he's a dog in there. He's got that Polish power, but not too many impressive wins, I would say. And you know, when he does get it done, he gets it done by finish. That we do credit. He's got finishing power, but so does Michel Pereira. And Michel Pereira has faced, I mean, look at his record. He's got so much experience. I mean, 29-10. You can't knock the guy. So he's definitely faced a Michel Oleksiejczuk before. I got to count on that. I'm going to go with Michel Pereira to get this one done by knockout or by decision. Next fight, we got Pedro Munhoz taking on Phillips. Now, the win that Phillips has over Song Yadong is aging very well, because Song Yadong is now fighting Petr Yan and almost has a chance to fight for a title. I mean, he's making a name for himself, while Phillips, you know, he did get caught up with the performance enhancing drugs and USADA or whatever, I'm not sure, but you know, that is likely what has held him back from landing a number next to his name. And now he's fighting Pedro Munhoz, so he's getting a chance here. Now, I was always high on Phillips. I've never seen him really in a bad fight, despite that one against Raulian Paiva, where he had Raulian Paiva hurt, but then he was just doing a bunch of spinning bullshit, really. I don't know what he was trying to do. He was trying to get a highlight reel finish for his career, and it didn't work out. Comes back out there against Raoni Barcelos, and you don't see him do one spinning back fist, okay? So clearly, his coach told him, cut the shit, stick to the basics, and do what you got to do to get the win. And that's exactly what I think he's going to do against Pedro Munhoz this weekend. Pedro Munhoz has looked flat against the up-and-comers of the weight class, and that's pretty much what he's been facing lately. He faced Sean O'Malley and that before the belt, and you know, some people say he had a great first round. I don't agree. I think it was going to end up bad for Pedro Munhoz. He was not. People say that he was having a great first round. I don't agree. Then he fights Chito Vera. He has some moments against Chito Vera, but Chito Vera is a dog. Chito Vera doesn't mind getting hit sometimes. He'll take a punch to give a punch. Where Phillips is a little bit more clean. He doesn't like to get, well, I wouldn't say he doesn't like to get hit as much, but he'll try not to get hit as much as Chito Vera. And Phillips, he's got that in and out style. He mixes it up very well with the takedowns. I like his ability to get it done. I like his height and reach as well. I think he's got a great chance against Pedro Munhoz here if he just keeps the fight at his distance, pushes the pace when he's supposed to, and just capitalize on Pedro Munhoz being the shorter fighter. Stick the jab and win this one by decision or by ground and pound finish by tiring out Pedro Munhoz. He is 38 now, but Pedro Munhoz has some solid takedown defense, so I'm not gonna count on that one. And Pedro Munhoz is a dog. He's a tough fighter, so I think decision is the safer way to play on this fight. But yeah, I'm still rocking with Phillips. Phillips to get that one by decision, guys. Next fight, we got Mateusz Gamrot taking on RDA Rafael dos Anjos. Odd matchmaking here, in my opinion. I think Mateusz, coming off that questionable win against Rafael Fiziev, you would have thought he would have went on to fight high top 5 level talent in his weight class, but instead they match him up with RDA, whose last fight was at welterweight. So very confusing matchmaking here, and I gotta go Mateusz Gamrot by decision or by submission or by ground and pound. I mean, Mateusz Gamrot, what you can count on is his pressure and consistency. His forward pressure is going to be way too much for RDA. It's been too much in the past. I mean, I don't know. I don't see many ways for RDA to win here. And I'm pretty sure RDA moved up to welterweight because he's 39, almost 40, and he's taking on a hungry Gamrot, coming off a fight against Philipe where it was controversial. I mean, Philipe broke his foot while Gamrot blocked the kick, and Gamrot wants to prove that he's that guy. It's not no fluke, and I think he is going to show that against RDA if no injuries happen, if no crazy things like his last fight happens. We should see a classic performance out of Gamrot, and he's going to look good. He should shine against RDA, really. Like I said, 39, almost 40. And RDA, he's a complete fighter, but he's now 40 years old, almost 40 years old. And he's going to have to cut to lightweight for this fight. I don't like that idea. Like I said, he was fighting at welterweight prior to this. It had to have been for a reason. And he moved up to welterweight after not having success at lightweight. So I just don't see many ways for RDA to win this one here. He's looking to always face the high level competition in the UFC, and that I respect, but I cannot see him winning this one. I'm going to go Gamrot by finish. Next fight, we got Kaitlyn, what used to be Chukagian is now Cerminara, versus Maycee Barber. Kaitlyn making her return after a long layoff, and if you look at her fights, I'm very impressed how she's able to make the majority of her opponents fight her style. And if you fight her style, you're doomed. If Maycee Barber stays in that range, fight, karate, kick distance, she will lose this fight. And both of these two have been able to sneak some decisions that maybe they shouldn't have, but despite that, I think, like I said, if Kaitlyn is very technical and she keeps the fight at her distance, she has a very good chance. But Maycee Barber is very known for mixing it up very well with the takedowns, with the striking. She's one of those new level talent where she will bring it all in her fights. She will mix it up in her fights, and that's what usually gets it done against a girl like Kaitlyn Chukagian, Cerminara, who is more one-dimensional in the UFC now, and more one-dimensional than ever now, because you've seen what the new level of talent is bringing, they can all mix it up. They can all mix it up with the striking and the grappling. Kaitlyn Chookagian is a step behind in that realm. And, she does have good get-up game. She does have good takedown defense. She will be hard to get down, but when she is taken down, not much to offer. And I think Maycee Barber is going to have a bit of a physicality advantage. If she does get her down, she will be able to maintain that top control. So I'm going to look for Maycee Barber to get it done, probably by decision. We got to go by decision because that's usually what she does. She works enough in those rounds to make it visible to the judges that she did enough. So I think she will likely get this one done by decision again. Kaitlyn is a tough opponent. She can submit her, or she can try to ground and pound finish her, but I am not gonna say that Maycee Barber, who has been working decisions lately, is gonna finish possibly one of the hardest opponents she will have faced as come to date in this fight. So Maycee Barber is the pick by decision, guys. Next fight, we got Jailton Almeida taking on Curtis Blaydes. Jailton looked questionable in his last fight against Derrick Lewis. He looked questionable because he couldn't get the finish. But I've tuned into podcasts where I've heard very high credited grapplers like Sean Brady mention that guys that are heavy set like Derrick Lewis, that will not make mistakes, will just look to do nothing off their back and just do everything to not get submitted, but also do nothing to get up, are very hard to submit. So we got to give Jailton the benefit of the doubt in that one. I think that's what played a big role in his in this fight against Derrick Lewis, and it was also a short notice replacement. He was never really preparing for Derrick Lewis, so there's also that. Jailton Almeida is strong. His energy, his output is always there. I think he can go 3 rounds. I mean, he's got decent hands. Curtis Blaydes has had a lot of trouble mixing it up in his career. He's a very good grappler. He's a very strong wrestler. And that's where he's going to meet Jailton Almeida in this fight. That's where everyone is questioning how this one is going to go. But I think Jailton Almeida's energy, his quickness, BJJ is going to play a big role in this fight in terms of not just being a wrestler. This guy is a grappler, okay? So he's not just gonna look for a single leg, but he can look to take his back in the spur of the moment and maybe work a rear naked choke while Curtis Blaydes doesn't see it. And Jailton Almeida is a strong dude. He is moving up a weight class. He used to fight a weight class down, but if you look at him now, he's filled up his size. He's definitely a heavyweight now. And Curtis Blaydes, also a heavyweight for sure, but slow starter, and that's also what's going to cost him here. I could see Jailton Almeida doing enough to convince the judges and winning this one by decision, but I could also see Jailton Almeida tiring out Curtis Blaydes and eventually working a submission, a takedown, and working a submission in this fight. I think Jailton Almeida's energy, is his output and his pressure is what's going to be the X factor in this fight, and he should get it done. He should get it done by decision or by finish. Curtis Blaydes will be his toughest wrestler, but I do see him winning that battle just with the grappling advantage, and he is even a threat in the striking too. So I'm sure he's worked on his striking for this fight. I am looking forward to it, but I got Jailton Almeida to get that one done. Next fight, we got Petr Yan taking on Song Yadong. Now, this is an extremely tough fight for both of these guys. Some will say, Song Yadong looked flat against Chris Gutierrez And even Petr Yan will say it himself. He was not impressed by Song's performance against Chris Gutierrez. And I think Petr Yan finishes a guy like Chris Gutierrez. But Chris Gutierrez has not been knocked out in the UFC, and he's only been subbed once. So credit to Chris Gutierrez. I mean, he's showing that he is a tough guy to finish. So Song Yadong didn't get the job done there, but there's levels. It's very hard in this game to get a finish. I'm not surprised. So I guess we can say, we will give Song Yadong the benefit of the doubt in that fight, right? But Petr Yan, you can also give him the benefit of the doubt because he's coming off a 3-fight losing streak, but it's all top talent. I mean, Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley, and Merab Dvalishvili. And people think, and I'm one of those people think that he beat Sean O'Malley in that 3-round fight. I really thought he did enough. Now, could they have been pushing the hype of Sean O'Malley at the time? I don't know. I don't play into that much. I just look at the fight. And if you look at the fight, in my eyes, I thought Petr Yan did enough to get the job done in that fight. However, they gave it to Sean O'Malley. It is what it is. Petr Yan is an extremely tough opponent for everybody. I mean, in the first fight against Aljo, he was giving him everything. And if it ended in the 3rd round, you could have given Petr Yan that win on the scorecards. So they ran it back. Obviously, Petr Yan, it doesn't go the same way. Petr Yan gets taken down, but Song Yadong will likely play in the standing with Petr Yan in the 1st round. Petr Yan, yes, he's known for being a slow starter, but Petr Yan, I think he's starting to adapt to these 3-round fights, if not more now, because he fought Sean O'Malley. Then he goes and, he fought, that Merab fight was 5 rounds. It was a main event, but he didn't have much of a chance in that one after getting taken down. Merab attempted 48 takedowns. Petr Yan, you can't say he didn't try because Merab only landed 11. So, it's an extremely tough fight to call. I think Petr Yan has had tough opponents, but you can never count him out. He is an extremely good stand-up artist, and he's showing improvement in his wrestling every fight. Yes, he got controlled by Merab, but Song Yadong doesn't fight like Merab. And Song Yadong, if he did try, he would get tired quick. And there's no one matching Merab's pace. So I do think that what the X factor is here is Song Yadong's power. Okay, Song Yadong is one of the hardest hitters in this weight class, and he has one of the best chins in this weight class. So him having that power and him also having the wrestling that he showed against Chris Gutierrez to go with it, that's going to lead him to be able to mix it up a lot better than Petr Yan can against him, because Petr Yan does have those Muay Thai sweeps. He does have a great ability to work the top control in some of his fights. But against a guy like Song Yadong, who is very good at wrestling as well, coming from Team Alpha Male Uriah Faber, and also showed it off in his last fight. He's got the heavy hands. He's going to be a problem for Petr Yan in terms of wanting to, how is he going to deal with Song Yadong's pressure as well? This is an extremely tough fight for both of these two. It's been hard for me to pick, but I gotta go with Song Yadong. I think, like I said, that the power on the feet is what the X factor is for me. I think that the power is going to play a big role in terms of him being able to land some sneaky takedowns, work some control, and squeak a decision here. It's might even drop a round in the process. You know, Pereira is a tough opponent, and if he starts getting a reading on what Song Yadong is doing and Song Yadong doesn't change it up, Pereira is like a computer. He will dissect this dude, and it could be a bad night for Song Yadong. So this is a low confidence pick here. I'm gonna go with Song Yadong to get it done. Very low confidence. My money is staying away from this fight here. But yeah, that's an amazing fight to start off the main card. And next fight, guys, we got Gilbert Burns taking on Jack Della Maddalena. Now, all the hype behind Jack Della Maddalena, well deserved. He's a great boxer, probably one of the better boxers at 170. But that's what he is. He's a boxer, guys. He is not a wrestler. Yes, he's a great defensive wrestler. He's a great defensive grappler. He's got good takedown defense. He's going up against Gilbert Burns this weekend. Okay, Gilbert Burns has got 4-time ADCC champion in Brazilian and BJJ. This guy, come on, like the levels in ground game that Gilbert Burns has versus the opponents that Jack Della Maddalena has faced is not even close. Is not even close. And I do think this is a classic striker versus grappler matchup where, yes, Gilbert Burns, he can strike. Jack Della Maddalena strikes better. Jack Della Maddalena, he can grapple. Gilbert Burns can grapple better, all right? And it's very clear. So I gotta go with the wrestler here in this one. That's always been what's proven to get it done in the past. I mean, just striking is never what is going to get it done. As you move up into the higher rankings of this weight class, you have to learn to be more fundamental. And if we're talking about being more fundamental, being more technical, bringing another strategy into the fight game, it's Gilbert Burns. He showed he can stand with guys like Khamzat Chimaev. He dropped Khamzat Chimaev in the second round. He showed he dropped Kamaru Usman in his title shot in the first round. He has moments in the majority of his. He had moments against Jorge Masvidal, a great fight against Jorge Masvidal. People were saying, oh, he couldn't sub Jorge Masvidal. Look at Jorge Masvidal's record. He only been subbed once in the UFC, and if you look back, that was a club and sub. So was he really subbed? You know, Masvidal's got great BJJ defense. I can't knock him for not being able to sub a guy like Jorge Masvidal, who was also fighting in Miami, also his last fight. You know, that was the best version of Masvidal and last we were ever going to see. So now he's fighting a young and hungry Jack Della Maddalena, who just recently got taken down on a short notice Bassel Hafez. Now, people are making big talk about that, but I'm saying that Gilbert Burns is levels better in grappling than Bassel Hafez. I'm already saying that. Like, we've seen that. All right, guys, it's very clear. Gilbert Burns knows what to do against a striker. So he's proven that. I'm gonna rock with him to do that again. I don't think the hype is not credited for Jack Della Maddalena. I just don't see him getting it done. He's got great boxing and he's a great striker. If this fight stays on the feet, obviously he's gonna knock out Gilbert Burns. I mean, there's only so much Gilbert Burns can do on the feet. Like I said, this is a striker versus grappler matchup here. But you got to count on the guy who is a lot more proven. He's faced the boxers. He's faced the wrestlers. He's faced the who's who of this weight class. He never says no. Gilbert Burns. That's the one who's going to get it done this weekend. that's my pick. He's now an underdog, and you know, I don't want to expose who my dog of the week is, but I mean, it's very clear here. I think, you know, people are going to make a lot of big fuss about him being 37. The guy's never fought like he's 37. The guy's never fought like he was 36 when he was 36. I mean, look at his fights. He brings it. He brings it. And does JDM bring it? Of course. But Gilbert Burns has the X factor that Della Maddalena doesn't. Like, you can't train a guy. I just don't know. Like I said, if this fight stays on the feet, then I can see Jack Della Maddalena winning. But you can't train Jack Della Maddalena to prepare for a grappler of this level of caliber in such short of time. Like, you're just never gonna meet him in the grappling. You're gonna have to stay in your own game and keep this one standing. Guess what? Gilbert Burns took Wonder Boy down, took Neil Magny down. I mean, the list goes on for all the strikers that he's faced, that he's needed to take down in his fights. So, and I think it will just continue. Gilbert Burns to get it done by submission or by decision in this fight. Give me, and that's it, yeah. All right, next fight, we have Kevin Holland taking on Michael Venom Page. Michael Page making his debut, coming from Bellator. He's now 36 years old. That's unfortunate we're getting him so late, but nonetheless, he's in the big lights. He's in the UFC now, and he's got a game opponent in Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland likes to strike, but he can mix it up. And when he mixes it up, he looks good, man. He's a black belt in BJJ. He can grapple. I would like to see him grapple in this fight. If he stands with Michael Page in this fight and he just stands for 15 minutes, I honestly can see Michael Page knocking Kevin Holland out, eventually reading him and knocking him out, because Michael Page is arguably a younger, faster, quicker version of Wonder Boy, and we've seen what Wonder Boy could do. Michael Page is a lot more violent. Okay, so Michael Page is good, but he's 36. All right, he's 36, and he's a very one-dimensional fighter, I'll say. He's got phenomenal takedown defense. He knows everybody wants to take him down. Kevin Holland, you know, not the best at chasing takedowns, because it's not what he does, but he's a chain wrestler. He'll mix up his striking with the wrestling, and he is a threat on the ground with the BJJ. So for right now, if I had to make a pick, I gotta go with Kevin Holland. He's the guy who has more tools, more ways to win, and if he mixes it up and you count on him mixing it up, I do see him winning this fight. However, if he stays standing, like I said, it's not gonna be pretty. I do not think it will go well for Kevin Holland. This might be like a pick flip situation later on in the week. As of right now, though, I gotta stick with Kevin Holland, the guy who has more ways to win, more tools, more complete fighter, and that's Kevin Holland. I'm gonna go with him to win this one by decision or by submission, guys. Next fight. All right, in the co-main event, we got Benoit Saint-Denis taking on Dustin Poirier. 5 rounds. I'm excited. This is an extremely fun fight, extremely tough fight to call for me. I mean, I have mixed feelings, because I don't know if Dustin Poirier, you can write him off just yet. I mean, he is coming off a head kick loss to Justin Gaethje, and if you look at the people who have lost to Justin Gaethje, if you look at their careers after, it's just not the brightest. And could that play a role to on Dustin Poirier this weekend? It might, you know. And Dustin Poirier looking to prove that he's still that dog. He's still that guy in that top of the weight class. You know, he beat Conor McGregor. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just an injury. He's trying to show that. And I mean, Benoit Saint-Denis is a killer, guys. He's a very complete fighter. This is a lot harder to pick in terms of like a changing of the guard moment fight for me, because you know, there's some other fights in here like JDM and Gilbert Burns. JDM is not as complete. JDM is a boxer. He's a striker. Benoit Saint Denis, he can grapple, he can strike, he can knock you out. I mean, he's got power in those hands, and he's only learning more. So, I mean, in terms of like the guy who is on a rhythm here and riding a good streak and always learning, it's Benoit Saint Denis. But Dustin Poirier, he's a seasoned vet. He's a great boxer. He's got the black belt in his back pocket, and Dustin Poirier is a very complete fighter as well. He's just older, a little bit older, and is that going to be the difference maker? It could very well be. Man, this is a tough fight. It's a tough fight to pick. I think if, like I said earlier, if Benoit Saint Denis puts it on Dustin Poirier in the early rounds, it's over. And you're really just banking on the cardio there. But I think Benoit Saint Denis knows this fight's going to be 5 rounds. He's going to be prepared for 5 rounds. He's not going to make those cardio mistakes. And Dustin Poirier, he's going to try to deal with the first few rounds of the up-and-comer and then try to put it on him in the later rounds. And it's going to be a tough task. I mean, he's kind of like basically telling you he's preparing for an early ass whooping. And if he could deal with the early ass whooping, then he'll put it on him in the later rounds, in the champ rounds, and show him that he's a vet. That's a very tough hill to die on. And I got to go with Benoit Saint Denis. I think he could get it done. I mean, they're just as complete, but he's the younger fighter. He's riding a nice win streak, and he's only learning more. I think he can do all the same things Dustin Poirier could do, but just a little bit quicker now, considering the age gap and where these two are in their careers. But I won't be surprised. If Dustin Poirier does do what he said he was going to do and deal with the first few rounds and then put it on Benoit Saint Denis. We haven't seen Benoit Saint Denis against this level of talent. This is a very huge step up in competition coming from Matt Frivola. But I'm going to go with Benoit Saint Denis, as crazy as that is. You know, styles make fights. We saw Ilia Topuria go out there after just going 5 rounds with Josh Emmett, and Yair put Josh Emmett in an arm triangle and loses to Brian Ortega. So this is styles make fights, and I'm gonna go with Benoit Saint Denis. Next fight, the main event: Sean O'Malley taking on Marlon Chito Vera. Wow, this is another extremely tough fight. I mean, I think if you watch the first fight, yes, Sean O'Malley was having moments in the fight, but to say that Marlon landed that kick as if it was lucky, that wasn't lucky, bro. I mean, everyone knows that Sean O'Malley is exposed to leg kicks because of his foot stance and how he fights and his striking stance. It's just his lead leg is exposed to kicks. So to say that it was lucky is bullshit. I mean, I think the guy is very technical, and I think he applied technique to get that leg kick, and he got the job done, rightfully so. Marlon is up 1-0. This is a rematch, and Sean O'Malley has gotten better, has definitely gotten better. Why? Because he faced Peter Yan after, he went and faced Pedro Munhoz after, then he took on Aljamain Sterling, all these people. I mean, he's definitely improved. So Chito Vera kind of stayed the same, and you know what he's going to bring. You know he's going to be a granite chin. He's got great striking, well-rounded fighter overall. Doesn't mind taking a punch to give a punch. And, you know, that has hurt him in the past. It could very well hurt him in this fight, but he was having trouble with the range in the first fight. There's no denying that. He did have to combat that with the leg kicks, and it worked out. Will it work out this time? I'm not sure. But I think he has to kind of approach this fight similar to how Dustin Poirier is approaching the co-main event. You know, whereas you deal with the first few rounds of possibly an ass whooping. You know, you might drop the first, Chito might drop the first, and then look real good in the later rounds when Sean O'Malley is looking at the clock and he's tired and Chito Vera is not. But this could also be a moment for Sean O'Malley to knock out Marlon Vera. Which is extremely hard. Okay, because Marlon Vera has never been knocked down. Let alone knocked out. He's never been knocked down. So, we're talking about one of the most best chins in this UFC entirely. So, I do see Sean O'Malley winning this. I'm going to have to go with Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley is the pick. I do see him winning this by decision, though. I don't see him getting that phenomenal KO that everyone thinks he's going to do, or some, Sean O'Malley fans might believe. I am not a believer that he's going to get a knockout in this fight. I do think he's going to outclass him just by staying away from the danger. And being the taller, lengthier fighter, he's going to impose that big man defense, tall man defense. Sean O'Malley's really good at that, and he's got a phenomenal overhand right that could land on Chito at any point in time. But Chito's a granite chin. Even if he drops Chito, I do see that will be the first time, and I do see Chito getting up. I don't see Chito getting knocked out cold. If he does, that'll be phenomenal. One of the best moments in Sean O'Malley's career by far. But I do see him winning this one kind of by decision, just staying away from the danger, avoiding the craziness that is Chito Vera, and edging this one out by decision. That is my pick, and those are the picks and predictions for UFC 299. Hope you guys like it. It is a lengthy video. I apologize. We got 14 fights. I do want to give you guys a really good breakdown. If you guys prefer the shorter videos, let me know. I'll give you guys some shorts on all of these fights in the YouTube shorts section. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for the best bets video for UFC 299. Lock of the week, dog of the week, and parlays coming very soon. I'm out of here. Peace, man.